Hello guys, welcome back to the Brutal Buster channel. I hope you guys are having a fantastic day today. In this episode, we're going to do something different and we're going to cover a Canadian stock for this video, and this stock is called the Bank of Montreal or the BMO stock, right? So as I always say, it's always important to diversify your portfolio when it comes to aiming for financial independence, because you need to focus on having a little bit of crypto, stocks, NFTs, and other investments so that you can diversify, and this diversification will help you lead your goal of becoming financially independent and retiring early, right? So as a part of that theme, we are covering one of my favorite Canadian dividend stocks for fellow Canadians out there. So for non-Canadians as well, this is a really good stock to look into, because Canada has some of the best banks in the entire world, which are very strong, very stable. They've been there for several years. In fact, BMO, this bank itself has been active for several hundred years. Not several hundred years, maybe close to 180 years. And therefore, this is a stock that, even international audience can appreciate having in their portfolio if they want to diversify into the Canadian market, right? So the information that I'm going to present is going to be based on Yahoo Finance. So you can go through this information by going to ca.finance.yahoo.com. And if you go here, you can basically get all the information that we're going to cover today. And at the same time, the information presented in this video is going to be peripheral analysis. It is not going to go into any detail when it comes to the numbers, the statistics, and all the information out there. And therefore, I would like you guys to make sure that you do your own research before you invest any of your hard-earned money on this stock, right? So if you want to access a lot of information directly from the Bank of Montreal's website, you can go to BMO.com, and you have all the information out there that you need to use to do your own research before you put your money on this stock, right? So Bank of Montreal, it's been one of the best performing bank stocks, period, and it is a bank that has primarily been a bank for several Canadians, as well as it's also functioning outside of Canada. It's available in the US as well as in some European countries as well. The company's personal banking products and services include checking and savings accounts, credit cards, mortgages, and financial and investment advice services. And commercial banking products and services comprise business deposit accounts, commercial credit cards, bank loans and commercial mortgages, cash management solutions, foreign exchange, specialized banking programs, treasury and management solutions, and risk management products for small businesses and commercial banking customers. So as you can see, they have a whole host of services for personal banking, commercial, business banking, as well as mortgages, lending, savings, investment accounts, like everything, anything that you can name in the banking sector, BMO has that service available to offer to you, right? So that's kind of how versatile BMO is. In addition, the company provides life insurance, accident and sickness insurance, and annuity products, creditor and travel insurance to bank customers, and reinsurance solutions. So apart from all these banking services, they also provide life insurance as well as accident and sickness insurance services, and several other products to their customers, both the retail customers as well as commercial and business customers as well, right? So that's kind of like a quick overview of this particular bank. And if you see, they have approximately 900 bank branches and 3,300 automated banking machines in Canada and the United States. So this is a bank that has multiple branches across the North America, which includes USA and Canada, and they also have many more ATM machines throughout North America to facilitate the withdrawal of cash, and also to perform quick transactions right away through these ATM devices, right? So the Bank of Montreal was founded in 1817, and it is headquartered in Montreal, Canada. So again, as the name suggests, this bank is based in Montreal, Canada, and it has been around for quite some time, and it was founded in 1817, right? So that's kind of like a quick overview of this bank itself. So if we go to the summary information on Yahoo Finance, you can first of all see that the ticker symbol is BMO and they have .to. So if you are trying to buy the Canadian stock, you can basically type BMO.to. So .to is basically for Toronto Stock Exchange. If you search for BMO by itself, you may also find BMO being traded on the New York Stock Exchange, which will be in the US dollars, right? So if you're trying to buy in Canadian dollars, always include the .to. And it's currently trading at 128 Canadian dollars at the time I'm making this video, and it's kind of up a mild 0.79%. Again, we don't see that kind of growth in stock markets compared to the crypto markets. If you're used to the crypto markets and if you come to the stock markets, you're going to find it a little bit boring because you don't have such high levels of volatility in the stock market compared to the crypto market, because stock markets are much more mature. They've been around for a very long time. Crypto is a very new class of investment opportunities, and it's extremely low when it comes to market cap compared to the stock market, right? And that's why you can easily expect to see like barely 0.5% increase in a particular stock's price, especially for a stock that's been around for quite some time like BMO, which has huge trading volumes and is one of the most established bank stocks in the entire world, right? So if you scroll further below, you can see the charts. Again, the chart is very interesting because you can easily see that the chart has pretty much been stable. There's been no upward or downward or any form of like exuberant activity in the charts itself. This shows that the stock is a very stable and very reliable stock. It's been around for a very long time. If you click the max button, you can clearly see that the stock, even though overall it seems to be creeping in the upward direction, the stock itself doesn't really have a lot of volatility to it. As I mentioned, it's a very established stock, and you can clearly see that there's been a couple of times where the stock has gone down, especially when it comes to February 2009, which was during the market crash. Even though the entire world's banks had suffered, Canada's banks were some of the least hit, and BMO being one of them. The stock did kind of crash to a price of $28.29. The bank itself performed really well and they recovered pretty soon, shortly after, right? And the stock has seen through so much, in the several years that it has been actively performing. It has seen the world wars, it has seen several recessions. So this is kind of like a stock that you need to hold if you are trying to have a very strong player which has a defensive aspect to it, as well as the fact that this is a stock that can still continue to grow in the upcoming years to decades, right? So if you see, due to the COVID pandemic, the stock did have a small beating. It did reach as low as $67 or $70 per token per stock from its high of $102 per stock. But then if you see other banks, in other parts of the world, a lot of those banks literally like decoupled extremely severely. But Bank of Montreal has sustained its relative stability immediately after the crash, and then it has performed very well, reaching an all-time high of 144.73 Canadian dollars, and now it's kind of taking a small pullback. But if you see, it's still close to its all-time high. It's currently trading at $128 in Canadian dollars, and it's still quite far away from its all-time lows, or even anywhere close to its lows that it saw in the COVID beating that it received, right? So it's still close to its all-time high, which still means that the stock is going to perform very well. It's a very stable stock, as I mentioned multiple times, and there's a lot of room to grow as well, right? So if you see, the previous close was $127. Again, this was as of Friday, yesterday, and you can clearly see some of the information here. It has a huge trading volume of $1.9 million. Again, all of these information on Canadian dollars. The market cap is $86.335 billion. So very well-established stock. The PE ratio is 7.03, and the earnings per EPS ratio is 18.22. The earnings date is August 30th, 2022, and the forward dividend and yield is 5.56 or 4.38%. So again, this is a dividend stock. So you need to understand that you need to hold a mixture of growth and dividend stocks. If you're a growth stock fan who wants to see high growth, you can still have some room for dividend stocks such as BMO, because if you are taking BMO into consideration, you can see the long history, the strong foundation and the infrastructure that BMO has established in North America is going to be a valuable asset for you to gain not just growth of your stock, as well as earn consistent quarterly dividends, right? So the BMO does pay dividends on a quarterly basis, and its dividend yield is one of the highest in the country of Canada, and also in pretty much the entirety of North America as well, right? So the ex-dividend date was July 29th, 2022, which was the snapshot that they take to pay out dividends on a quarterly basis. And you can find a lot of reports about the information about this stock, as well as entire general information about the banks in Canada in general, right? So overall, it's a pretty cool stock to own. If you see the conversions information, you can clearly see that a lot of people are reacting well to this stock. So if you see what happened to BMO today, other banks were up, so people are talking about this stock. It seems like in the short term play, this stock is is kind of slow mover compared to several other high fast paced stocks. So here people are saying they love BMO, look at their payout ratio. So obviously a lot of people who are fans of dividend stocks are the ones who mainly focus on stocks like BMO, because people who focus on growth stocks tend to expect high gains or high returns in a short period of time. But BMO doesn't necessarily provide the extremely fast-paced returns that people would want from a regular growth stock, but it does provide some really good yields because of the extremely high payout ratio, as well as consistent dividend, as well as growth benefits from the stock, right? Everyone complains about the price, but bank stocks are the most secure stock you can have in the TSX, which is the Toronto Stock Exchange, at least. Also, always look in a 5, 10, 15 year, buy it at 120, 150, 140 if you want. It's not important. So here this person is making a really good point, where they're stating that if you're trying to buy good strong stocks like BMO, you don't necessarily need to look at the price that you're trying to get into. A lot of people would say you need to get into at the lower price point so that you can make the maximum capital gains when the stock goes up. But as this person makes a good point, you need to look into the 5, 10, 15 year period if you're trying to buy into a stock like BMO, because yes, at this price point you're probably buying it at $123, which is close to its all-time high. But in 5, 10, 15 years from now, as the chart that we just looked at right now shows, this stock does have a huge potential to grow as well. It could probably be worth $200, or even kind of like $190 or $200 or $210 per stock in the next 5, 10, 15 years from now, right? So while along the way, it will keep paying you dividends on a quarterly basis, which means you're earning while you're waiting for the stock to grow and perform well, and you will make a decent amount of money just by holding the stock in the meantime by its dividends, right? So that's a very important point that PM here made. Thomas, so nice how when GDX goes red, then this suddenly becomes the 10x leverage ETFs. Again, they are making comments about how you can make more money as well. So added at 123.64 CAD and will buy more if it keeps dropping. This bank is in the midst of a biggest acquisition in its history. If it doesn't shit in bed and gets the job done right, it will be spewing record profits in a few short years. Again, this person DBC is also making a really good point out here. They are in the midst of a biggest acquisition in history, so this is a big thing that you can also read about in Yahoo Finance. So if they do things right, which they have been doing so far, they will continue to make some of the record-breaking profits in some of the shortest years that you will see, right? So these are some of the opinions that people are having right now, with regards to BMO itself. If you look at the statistics, you can see again the same information that we went through, kind of presented in much more detail here. So they provided the average share statistics along with the trading volume for 3 months and 10 days. You can also see the dividends and splits. So the dividend forward annual dividend rate is 5.56%, and the forward annual dividend yield is 4.38%, one of the highest in the country. And the payout ratio is 26.23%, which is quite good for a good Canadian bank. You can clearly see that the payout ratio is quite high, and if you compare it to other Canadian banks, BMO has one of the highest payout ratios, right? So the ex-dividend date as well as the split factor and all this information can be information that you can use to do your own research, right? So that's that. When it comes to the statistics itself, historical data, you can clearly see that historically the stock has performed well. The volume has kind of stabilized recently. It has gone up as high as $6.1 million, but recently it's kind of declined and reached kind of like $1.9 million in volume. They do pay a dividend of $1.39 per stock per quarter, which is pretty cool if you ask me. And at the same time, since the price is quite high, a lot of people may be hesitant to buy the stock. You can still buy fractions of the stock on platforms such as Wealthsimple, whose referral link is in the description if you want to use that out, right? So a very good platform to buy a lot of Canadian and US stocks, and you pretty much have to pay no fees for any Canadian stocks, and if you have a premium account, you don't have to pay fees for any US stocks as well, right? So you can use the Wealthsimple app referral link in the description to get a welcome bonus of up to $3,000 worth of stock for free, as well as you literally have to pay no commission for any Canadian stocks, right? Which also includes BMO. So profile wise, you can see this is the address of the headquarters of BMO. You have the website itself, which is bmo.com, as I mentioned before. They have full-time employees of about 43,863 employees. They're employing a lot of people, and these are the CEO, CFOs, as well as other key personnel of the company, right? So here's a map as well. This is also the description that we went through right now, and the financials. So the financials are the most important sections of any of the stocks, and the total revenue has been around $30.9 million so far. Interest expense is $5.4 million, as well as the before tax income and after tax income is also provided here. The net income is $12.1 million, and if you scroll further below, you can also see some of the other bank stocks, which is kind of compared with BMO and some of the other important bank stocks. All bank stocks in Canada are pretty good, but BMO has been performing relatively well compared to other bank stocks. So you can look at analysis as well. So some of the analysts have predicted really good forecasts for BMO stock in the next 5 to 10 years from now. You can read through that as well. These may be very hard for an average investor to look into, but there are other YouTubers who make detailed videos about this. I just want to quickly cover the basis and provide my opinions on this stock, right? You can look at options, but that's not really the scope of this video. Major holders, you can see 0.03% are held by all insiders, so it's a pretty relatively less percentage. 50.1% is held by institutions, 50.17 is held by percent of float held by institutions as well, and 838 shares are held by holding, number of institutions are holding shares is 838 stocks, right? So if you scroll further below, the top institutional holder is Royal Bank. So Royal Bank, which is another bank, holds the shares, a majority of the shares of BMO, which is pretty crazy. This includes 8.86% of the shares, which is 59.7 million shares, is held by another Canadian bank, Royal Bank. So you can understand that the competitor holding their competitors' shares indicates that they themselves believe that BMO is going to do really well in the future, and thereby they are holding the shares of BMO itself, right? So Vanguard, Bank of Montreal, and these are insiders. TD Asset Management, Bank of Nova Scotia, again other banks also holding the shares of BMO. And TD Bank, which is also another popular bank in Canada as well as the US, is also a shareholder of BMO. Mutual fund holders, you can see the list here. This is again a quick overview of the list amount of people who are holding these shares. So you can clearly see that the distribution of shares is quite equitable, and there is a lot of other banks who hold shares from BMO as well, right? So sustainability wise, if you see, this is kind of like an indication of whether this is a sustainable stock, as well as when it comes to controversy, whether there's any controversy with regards to this bank. So you can see the ranking, ESG ranking is 17th, which is the low ranking. Environmental risk score is 2, social risk score is 7.4, governance risk score is 7.4. So it seems like the controversy wise, they have moderate controversy level, which is kind of good. You don't want any number to be close to 5, which is the severity ranking. And again, product involvement areas, they have no involvement in alcohol, adult industry, gambling, tobacco, animal testing, fur and specialty leather, controversial weapons, small arms, Catholic values, GMO, military contracting, pesticides, thermal coal, as well as palm oil. So these are all some of the risky sectors that you don't want to see a particular company invested in or supporting in, because this will affect the emotional sentiment of certain investors, which will definitely impact the share price or stock price of a particular company in the long run, right? As well as the growth potential of the stock in the long run as well. So it's good to see that Bank of Montreal is not in any way controversial in any means, right? So when it comes to the overall verdict, guys, I think this stock has some amazing potential if you are an international viewer, and if you're trying to diversify your crypto /stock /NFT portfolios, you can obviously look into buying a stock from a company like BMO, which is a very popular company, one of the most favorite banks of any Canadian, and they have such really good performing numbers, and they've done really well in the past, and they will continue to do well in the future. And a lot of analysts are predicting that this stock will do extremely well in the next 5 to 10 years from now, especially when the market starts recovering from the current recession. This stock will outperform a lot of stocks and will continue to give extremely good quality dividend yield in a consistent basis, right? They've never missed a dividend since they were established, and they continue to increase the dividend as well, which means you will continue to make money while holding the stock and seeing the growth that the stock provides in the next 5 to 10 years from now, right? So again, this is my final verdict, guys, not financial advice. Please do your own research before you put your hard-earned money on this stock, right? Again, remember, guys, you guys are not regular investors, you guys are brutal investors, so stay brutal. Thank you very much for watching my video, guys. If you like my video, please hit the like button and subscribe for more videos. See you in my next video. Bye.